This week, Mel shows us how to bake a simple cake with some big tropical flavor.
How are y'all doing today? Don't you just love it when you're in the company of someone who speaks with a Southern accent? It's just so comforting. As a child, I had a great aunt-in-law. She was my grandmother's sister-in-law. She was a resourceful woman who lived on a farm and she loved to bake. Join me today while I show you how to make Aunt Eula's Southern plantation cake. And as she wrote, it's great to take to picnics, potlucks, and funerals too. This recipe has 3 easy parts: a nutty topping, a fruity batter, and a coconut frosting. And it's so easy you don't even need an electric mixer to make. But just keep in mind, the cooks that came before electricity didn't have any countertop appliances, and they baked in wood and coal-fired ovens too. Typically, all they needed to bake a cake was a bowl, a spoon, and a baking pan. We're going to start by making our topping, and I have a generous ½ cup of light brown sugar in this little bowl, and I'm going to add 6 ounces, about 1.5 cups, of chopped salted macadamia nuts. You can use any nut you want as long as it's 1.5 cups. Pecans, walnuts, I'm using macadamias because I want my cake to have a little bit of a tropical flair today. I'm going to stir the nuts around with the brown sugar just to give them a light coating. And now I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of butter at room temperature, and I've chopped it up into small bits and pieces. And you really do want the butter to be at room temperature to make this easy on yourself. And this is going to get a little messy, and it's going to take a minute or 2, but it's perfectly easy. We're just going to work all of this butter and brown mixture, sugar mixture together till we get a nice kind of loose but cohesive streusel-y topping. I have a nice cohesive topping, but it's loose enough to sprinkle all over the top. Set this to the side, and it's time to mix our cake batter. I'm going to start by putting 3 cups of flour, a full tablespoon of baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt in a big bowl. I'm going to stir in 1.5 cups of granulated sugar. I'm going to make a little well in the center. I'm going to lightly beat 3 eggs. I'm going to add the eggs to the center. 2 cups of chopped pineapple from a 20-ounce can of pineapple chunks. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons of bourbon extract, and a cup of pineapple juice that I kept from the can. Stir this all together. It'll just take a second. This is how easy making this cake batter is. And you can use sliced peaches, you could use sliced pears. Just remember to reserve the juice and add the juice for the liquid in this recipe instead of milk or buttermilk or sour cream. A little bit more. We want to get the flour pockets that, even if you have a few, it won't make too much of a difference. That's looking good. Now I'm going to do this for the camera, which is backwards for a left-hander like me. I'm going to pick up this bowl. I've got a 9x13 baking pan that I've sprayed with no stick spray. And I'm going to transfer all of the batter to the pan. I think I'm going to stop there, put this down and scrape it out by hand. smells really delicious with all this pineapple flavor in it. I want to get as much of this as I can. What I like to do when I'm baking any kind of a cake is give it a few shakes across the counter to smooth it out. We're going to pick up our topping now. I'm just going to start dropping this in little bits and pieces all across the top. This will take just a minute. I'm going to pop this into a 350-degree oven and let it bake for 35 to 40 minutes until it's golden brown. I'm going to bring it out and we're going to top it while it's hot. My cake just came out of the oven after 35 minutes. It's all puffed up and golden. I checked it a couple times with a cake tester to make sure that it comes out clean. And while this cake is steaming hot, I warmed up a can of sweetened condensed milk, not evaporated milk, sweetened condensed milk. And I'm going to start drizzling this over the top. You can see how hot this is. It's bubbling all across the top here. Just drizzle this evenly all over the top of the cake. And when this cools, it's going to get a nice thick, it's going to turn into a nice thick frosting. Oh, yum, that's going to soak in there. This is so delicious. And while the cake was baking, I toasted a cup of coconut in a skillet on the stovetop. And I'm just going to sprinkle this all over the top of the cake. As soon as I get all of this coconut on, I'm just going to let this cool completely for about 3 hours. This recipe is living proof that if you like to cook, and even if you don't, if you're given a plastic bag full of recipes that someone in your past has taken the time to collect, read them or pass them on to someone who will. All recipes matter. For this and all of my recipes, just go to my website.
Mel's dessert recipes are just as good as her full course meals.